So you want to start dating. If you're watching this video, then I assume that you're someone that either has been in a very long relationship and recently had a breakup, and now you're getting back into the dating world and you have no idea how things are working, how the dating scene has evolved throughout the years while you've been in a relationship. Or it could be that you were actually married and you went through a very rough divorce and now you're emotionally stifled. You're having like self-esteem issues perhaps. And again, before your relationship, before your marriage, maybe you had a better idea of what the dating scene looked like. But now, after your marriage, after your divorce, after your breakup, you're in this confused haze and you don't really know where to start. Should you be on dating apps? Should you be meeting people at dance classes? There's all kinds of contradicting advice on the internet because I'm sure if you're watching this, you've done some internet research. At least you've typed on Google how to start dating or how to date. Or it could be actually that maybe you're a virgin, like maybe you're in high school or you're out of high school, but you have no dating experience and you really decided one day that, you know what, I'm going to take control of this part of my life and I'm going to have this part of my life handled. But maybe you're not even a virgin. Maybe you do have some intimate experiences, but you never actually had to date. Which, funny enough, I know guys like that maybe in high school they were very successful with women, for example, and they could easily attract women and have a lot of intimate experiences with them. However, once they graduated high school and they entered like the adult world, or maybe they traveled abroad for university, they just had to start from scratch. And now they didn't have the reputation to fall back on or word of mouth to fall back on, which is what they used to rely on in their home country in high school. But now they're abroad, they don't have that, and now they need to actually learn how to date as an individual without any extra leverage that comes with having like a positive reputation or being popular or knowing the right type of people. So whichever one you are, I'm going to give you the most essential and important truth and solution to this problem. And what you're going to notice is that with the solution that I give you, it encompasses all dating advice that you're ever going to receive. Okay. And I want to start this off by telling you a story of when I personally really learned and integrated that part, that lesson into my like conscious mind. Because a lot of times with certain truths about life, you know what the truth is, but it's not until you experience it personally that you really feel like, whoa, now it all makes sense. I see it in front of me. It makes sense. So I want to give you that experience through the story that I'm about to give you. And by the end of this video, not only are you going to know exactly what it is that you need to do to date, how to get the types of results that you want, how to have the type of lifestyle that you want in general. So some of you might be looking for just hookups. Others of you might just be looking for actually a relationship or even marriage. I'm going to give it to you straight here. This is the most fundamental truth about dating that deep down you know, but through this video, I'm going to make it more conscious in your mind so that you're able to act on it. Okay, so this was 3 years ago, all right? Story time. This was 3 years ago. And back then, I was in a phase in my life where, again, I was kind of like in a player phase. I wanted to go out, I wanted to dance, I wanted to experience different women. I wanted to have all kinds of vague and ranging relationships with women, from just casual one night stands to hookups to fuck buddies. And at the time, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really interested in any sort of serious committed relationship. So what I would do very often is that I would go out and I would be approaching people and I would be approaching girls everywhere that I went. And I would gather friends sometimes at the end of every week, and we would go out to the club together and dance and vibe and have a couple of drinks and talk to some girls, right? That was almost a weekly event. At the end of the week, me and a couple of friends would go out and pretty much flirt with girls, right? And one night, I went out with a German friend of mine and a Greek friend of mine. Now, these two people were hanging out for the first time. So I was introducing them to each other for the first time. Now, the German guy, he was just, he's a good looking guy. He has a nice fashion sense. So, he's pretty decent when it comes to dating. But the thing is, the Greek guy, this is the type of guy that when you look at him, you would think, this guy, why? This guy was overweight. He had a very like patchy, over the place beard, crooked teeth. The only thing that he had going for him is that like he was super tall and he had like blue eyes. But other than that, he wasn't dressing as someone that you would think is very successful with women. And he didn't look the part. Like again, he was overweight, crooked teeth, very questionable hygiene. And I wasn't really particularly close to this guy, but he wanted to go out and flirt with girls. He found out that that's what I like to do also. So we just kind of like, fate brought us together and we decided to go out that night together. Now, the night quickly turned awkward. Okay. And that's because I've been out in the club with the German guy many times. So I kind of knew what to expect with him. But that was the first time that I went out with the Greek guy. And when I entered the club, you have to get comfortable in the environment. So me and the German guy got us some drinks and we were just kind of shooting the shit, chatting with each other. And then we glanced over to look at where's the Greek guy? And we look and we see him rampaging around the club, sneaking up behind women and like hugging them from behind and then like kind of looking at them from the side with this creepy look. And I could visibly see women, multiple women around the club getting super freaked out by this. Like I'm talking visibly freaked out. They would like get all stiff and stuff. The friends were so confused and were looking at this guy in disbelief. And of course it wouldn't work. And then the guy would just like let the girl go and they go to the next girl and do the exact same thing. So me and this German guy were just looking at him and we are like, oh my God, this guy's gonna get us banned from the club, right? So we instantly go after him and we tell him like, dude, you need to stop doing this, right? But by the time we went up to him to say that, he was in the zone. Imagine, we just entered the club. Me and the German guy were just getting like kind of acquainted with the environment, getting comfortable in the environment. But this guy, in a span of like 10 minutes, he almost went through the half of the club, talking to all the girls, hugging girls from behind, doing very bold moves that honestly I wouldn't recommend to any one of you to do. But you know what's the funny thing? Even though out of the three of us, he was the cringiest and most like awkward to watch, because even the German guy was like, dude, I feel very uncomfortable watching this. Like he was literally going around grabbing girls from the back, hugging them, staring at them with this creepy look. But guess what? By the end of the night, we see him not only, okay, by the end of the night, let me just say this. Me and the German guy have talked to some girls, but we weren't really seeing that much of a return. Like we weren't hitting it off with any in particular because we were feeling so awkward by the fact that this Greek guy was going around doing this shit. But funny enough, by the end of the night, out of the three of us, we saw him dancing with a very, very pretty girl in the club. I'm talking, he had his arms around her. They were grinding very slowly. Like it was a very sensual thing. Like you could tell, oh shit, she is feeling him. All right. And me and the German guy are just watching this from the corner of the club and we're thinking to ourselves, what is going on? This out of all of us, this is the guy that's gonna go home with the girl. Yes, he was, because 5 minutes after that, after we saw him grinding with the girl and just really like getting that vibe on, We saw the girl literally taking him by the hand and walking outside of the club. I'm not even joking. And by the end of the night, me and my friend, we were so kind of like defeated by the night because the night started off so awkward. And you know how you start the night in a club is important. That vibe carries with you throughout the entire night. So by the end of the night, we're just kind of like, man, this night was doomed from the beginning. Let's just go home. And we're going to leave the club, and we find the guy outside of the club sitting on a bench. The girl is on top of him. Hot girl, by the way, beautiful girl. And they're making out like hardcore. Like his hands are all over her body. They're really going at it. And we didn't even want to interrupt them. So I just said goodbye to my German friend and I just went home. Okay. And when I went home, I'm not going to lie, I sat in my bed and I couldn't sleep because I was thinking about that experience. And it really brought into my conscious mind that, whoa, like this guy, he's overweight, questionable hygiene, crooked teeth, obviously lacks a lot of basic awareness when it comes to social skills because he was super bold, super, and he was sober. And it got me thinking, like, whoa, even a guy like that, if he talked to enough people, eventually he found one that he clicked with. And I'm not talking he clicked with some like 1 out of 10 or minus 10 out of 10. No, I'm talking he clicked with a beautiful, pretty looking girl that most guys watching this video would easily date, right? And that is the main lesson that I want to impart to you in this video. You need to cast a wide net, okay? And I'm gonna get very specific and I'm very practical here. But the main idea in this video is that you need to play the numbers game. Again, I told you, this is not gonna be some profound video about stuff that you don't know. It's gonna be something that you do know, but you need someone to bring it into your conscious mind, which is what I'm here to do. And this is the truth about modern dating. You need to cast a wide net. Social media, the clubs, the internet has made it very accessible to meet a lot of people, and people have a lot of options these days. So if you really want to stand out, not only do you have to focus on improving yourself, which is also a very important part of dating, but you also need to focus on casting as wide of a net as you can in order to expose yourself to as many people as possible so that the the odds and the numbers are in your favor. Now, of course, I want to preface this by saying that there is a proper and right way to date. Obviously, what my friend was doing isn't something that you should model, all right? However, there is something to be said about the mere boldness and the mere indifference to rejection and your ability to go out and really expose yourself and put yourself out there in as many situations as possible. So, how does that realistically look like? Okay, you need to be on at least 3 dating apps. Okay, 3 dating apps. I'm talking Tinder, I'm talking Bumble, I'm talking OkCupid, whatever. Okay, you need to be on 3 dating apps, all right? And you need to make sure that you have good pictures, you know, a basic bio. The bio, in my opinion, doesn't really matter that much. Have some good pictures though, and just spend every day at least 10 minutes every day just swiping away. Wake up in the morning, do your swiping for the day. Okay, make sure that you run out of likes, all right? And don't swipe right on every girl. Swipe right on the girls that you're actually attracted to, all right? But you need to be on dating apps, all right? That's also a big part of dating nowadays. Dating apps, be on there, Tinder, whatever you enjoy, okay? And that doesn't mean, again, just because I say play the numbers game, it doesn't mean that you're swiping right on every girl, because that actually, if you didn't know, conveys to the algorithm of most dating apps that you're a low quality customer, that you have no standards, and therefore you're not going to get the best results. All right. So you need to make sure that you're selective and that you're swiping left on some girls, right on others. All right. Or if you're a girl watching this, then left to some guys, right to others, right? Obviously, I'm a man, so I'm kind of relating more to men here. So, but this is also applicable to women if you're watching this. Now, other than dating apps, you need to start putting yourself out there in the real world. That means, my friend, there is no cheat code here. You're gonna have to get rid of your fear of rejection. Like that needs to disappear, okay? Because here's the thing, dating is a mindset, all right? Even if you're single right now and you're not dating anyone and you haven't dated anyone in like 5 years, maybe you've never dated anyone, dating is a mindset, meaning that the moment that you decide to yourself that, okay, I want to date, you are actually committing to two things when you say that. You're committing to self improvement because obviously what you've been doing so far is not working. So you need to commit to self improvement. That means going to the gym, improving your fashion, taking good pictures and improving your social media because that's a big part of modern dating also, improving your social presence because that's branding, improving your online dating profile. So that also means taking good pictures, writing a good bio, looking like a good option, dress well, look fit, all that kind of stuff. So that's the number one thing that you're committing to. And you're also committing to putting yourself out there unapologetically and risking rejection, risking failure, risking your self esteem. That's what dating is, self improvement and risk, like indifferent, unapologetic risk. That's what it is. So you need to make a commitment to yourself that not only are you going to play the numbers game and you're going to improve yourself, but you're going to play the numbers game unapologetically. Now, personally, I go to the extreme with this. Like, I'm someone that I feel very comfortable approaching women on the street, and I feel very comfortable approaching women in the grocery stores and in the parks and random areas. Now, I understand that might not be for everyone. However, if I would say that if you're really serious about getting this part of your life handled, that you need to learn how to cold approach. Okay, and you can start simple. Start approaching women. Make it a routine. Okay, this is what your average week should look like. You wake up every day for 10 minutes, first thing in the morning, swipe on your Tinder. Okay, make sure you swipe left, swipe right. Just do your Tinder online dating swiping for the day. You do that. Then I don't know. You go and do your other business that you have to do for the day. And then at some point, you allocate 30 minutes that you're going to go out and just approach 3 girls. Okay. And now if you don't really know what to say, I'm going to give you a format. Of course, there's like a whole like science behind this, and there are all kinds of things that you can do right and you can do wrong. But again, remember, you're going to learn that as you go along, as you're playing the numbers game. You're also, it's what I told you, you're also learning how to improve yourself, and you're going to improve yourself. And there are ways that you can improve yourself. But again, remember, the main lesson of this video is even if you're not doing everything right, you can still get results if you put yourself out there enough. So the basic format that you're going to follow is that you're going to approach a girl. You're going to say, hey, I think you're cute. I have to go in a minute. What's your name? She's going to tell you her name. Tell her your name. Tell her tell her some basic information about you. Maybe tell her something like, yeah, I'm currently studying this, or I'm working this, and I'm just feeling really good today, so I'm going out for a quick walk before I get back to work. Where are you from? Or what do you do? Ask her a little bit about herself. What does she do? How old she is? What's her passions in life? Whatever. Have a bit of a back and forth for like 2-3 minutes, and then be like, cool. Hey, I would love to get to know you a little bit more. Let's go out for a coffee. Let's go out for a drink. She's either going to say yes, or she's either going to say no. If she says yes, exchange numbers, and then tell her that you're going to text her or call her sometime soon. Boom. You do that, and do that with like 3-5 girls back to back if you can, right? In a span of like half an hour to an hour. Again, it depends on how much free time you have. But trust me, again, dating is a mindset. You have to commit to this. So there is no excuse that you don't have enough time. Make the time. If you don't have enough time to go out for 30 minutes and approach 3 to 5 girls, then you don't have enough time to date. So maybe you should not be watching this video. Another thing that you can do is that you need to focus again on exposure, a lot of exposure. So you're gonna be doing the dating apps, you're gonna be doing your cold approaching, you're gonna be doing clubbing if that's your thing. I recommend it. It's easy to like get super. If you're looking for hookups, especially, it's an amazing place to do that. So again, go to the club twice a week, okay? Twice, 3 times a week if you want to. Buy fucking earplugs so you don't get tinnitus, but go to the club. And then again, make it a goal that when you're in the club, you're gonna talk to at least 2 to 3 girls, all right? Expose yourself, put your interest out there, all right? Again, you're gonna get rejected a lot, but that's part of the game. You have to deal with it. And you have to trust that the universe is gonna kind of scale the numbers in your favor, and eventually you're going to get that return. All right, so now you're on dating apps, you're cold approaching on the street, you're approaching women in the club at nighttime. Now you're also going to sign up to some kind of class. Maybe you like yoga, maybe you like meditation, maybe you like dancing. Dancing especially is great for this. Sign up to a dance class. It's a great way to meet women, by the way, in a very natural way. All right, sign up to a dance class. Okay, so you're going to be going to your dance class or meditation class or I don't know, yoga class, which again, all of these things that I just mentioned, meditation, yoga, dance, are great ways to meet women. Those places, those classes are predominantly occupied by women. So you're going to have a lot of options there. So now you have your dance class every week that that's exposing you to a lot of women. You have your clubbing that you do twice a week that's also exposing you to a lot of women. You're doing your cold approaching that's also exposing you to a lot of women. You're doing your online dating, it's exposing you to a lot of women. What you're also going to do now is I also want you to start expanding kind of like your social sphere. All right, so don't be so you want to put your interests out there, but if things don't seem to be working out, especially in like environments like the the dance class and the meditation, which by the way, I wouldn't recommend that you go super bold there. I would recommend that you just get to know the girls over a period of time. But now you're also making friends with them. You're building friendships with maybe with some women that rejected you. You decide instead of just completely walking away from them, you decide, you know what, hey, let's just be friends, okay? And you can start making like creating like a network of women around you that are going to invite you to their social outings. They're going to introduce you to more women, or they're going to introduce you to their friends, or you can introduce the girl to your friends, and maybe you can start being a more of like a you can start being a center of a very complex social network, which is going to make you a popular guy, the leader within your social network, that can also make you look very attractive to women, right? So again, don't be super one-dimensional with this. You want to expose yourself to a lot of women, but if it doesn't work out with a specific woman, then you can also befriend her and kind of think more long-term about the benefits that you could get from that. Now, riding on that wave also, because I know most of you are probably thinking that, whoa, this is daunting. Like, I'm gonna go out, I'm on dating apps, I'm a cold approaching, I'm making friends with women, introducing women to each other, introducing women to my friends, going to parties with women. On top of that, I'm going clubbing, or also maybe if you don't like clubbing, you can also go to events, local events in your city, like the rock bar or something, like some kind of event at nighttime where people are, expecting to kind of party and have fun and expect to be flirted with, all that kind of stuff. And you're also going to all these dance classes. Damn, that's a lot. And of course, what you're going to notice when you start doing this, because it's not going to be very natural for you, is that you're going to notice that you're getting rejected a lot. Okay, you're going to get some successes along the way, but you're also going to get a lot of rejections. Okay, and what I'm gonna tell you here that, yeah, in the beginning it's going to seem like things are not really working out, again, because you're not comfortable with it. But eventually, you're going to reach a point where things start to really elevate upwards. All right. And the reason for this is because, number one, by you doing it a lot, eventually you're going to get better at it. So by you cold approaching a lot, eventually you're going to realize that, when I approach girls this way, it works. But when I approach them that way, it doesn't work. Let's do more of this. right? So over time, over the period of time that you're going to be doing this, you're going to improve and you're going to get better and better, and your results and the numbers game is going to it's going to shift more and more in your favor, and you're going to notice that your pictures are going to get better, or your texting is going to become better on dating apps, just because you're learning from your experiences, right? So that over time is going to start shifting the scales to the point where maybe in the beginning you were getting like, if you were dealing with 10 women, all 10 of them were rejecting you, but all of a sudden, out of 10, you can get two, and then a few months later, out of 10, you can get five, right? That will go on a date with you. So that's one aspect of it, that you're going to start getting better and better just by mere exposure, and by the mere fact that you're just learning from your experiences. But furthermore, what's also going to start shifting the numbers in your favor, and this is like great, okay, this is a beautiful phenomenon, is that, again, the women that you're meeting online, and the women that you're meeting through cold approach, and the women that you're meeting through classes, all these women are local women in your city, and maybe in some ways are connected to one another. Okay, so what I have happened for me very often is that sometimes, on Tinder, I will match with a girl that I approached on the street like 2 years ago, right? And the fact that she met me 2 years ago, and we had like this spontaneous interaction on the street, and I approached her and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, maybe at the time she had a boyfriend, and so nothing could happen, but it was enough of a positive experience that now when she sees me on the dating app, she swipes right on me because she's like, oh, I'm single now. It's that guy. Like, yeah, I could go on a date with all these anonymous guys on the internet, or I could go on a date with this guy that I actually met in person, that I had this very positive interaction with. And yeah, maybe at the time I was in a relationship and I couldn't really pursue that further, but now I'm single, here he is, now I'm in an open space. Why not? Let's go on a date with him, right? I've had that happen many times, and with women that I'm pretty sure if they just saw me on the dating app and they had no idea who I was, maybe they would have swiped left, all right? I've also had situations where, by just me approaching women, this is a beautiful story. I've had a situation one time where I um, I approached, like, I was doing like a lot of cold approaching back in the day. I don't do it so much these days, but I'm talking back in the day. I used to do this stuff a lot. Everything that I'm talking to you here about are things that I've done myself. And what I've noticed is that, there was a period of time where I was doing that a lot. And then one night, this is a beautiful thing that can happen to you. And I wish this happens to you also. And it really shows the power of this stuff and how everything kind of interconnects. I went to the club one night, right? And it was the beginning of the night. Again, I was getting acquainted to the environment and all that kind of stuff. And so everyone was kind of stifled. It was very quiet. It was kind of like a lounge area. So there wasn't a lot of loud music or anything. And while I was hanging out with my friends, just having my drink, all of a sudden, like a huge group of like 6, 7 girls just rushed to me, just screaming at the top of their lungs, like as if I was Ed Sheeran or something. And they approached me and they were like all super excited. They were like, oh, it's you, I remember you. And they remembered my name and everything. And I was sitting there like very confused, like, what is going on? Who are these girls? And by, talking to them, what I eventually learned is that actually I approached every single one of those girls in that group in different situations. Some of them in the club, some of them on the street, some of them in the park. Some of them actually even kissed, made out with. And I guess, because a lot of these experiences that I've had with these different women were so intense and so like spontaneous that naturally, when they went home and they were hanging out with their friends, they spoke to each other about it. And I guess eventually through the conversation, by talking to each other about it, they figured out that they were talking about the same guy, me, right? And so when they saw me in the club, they all were like, hey, it's that guy. I personally didn't remember them because I guess, it happened like, for me, it happened years ago. And I also do this a lot. So, if I don't date you, then I don't remember you, to be honest. But for them, because it was such a spontaneous experience, they really remembered me. And they had a very fond impression of me. Now, that night, I didn't do anything with any of them. Like, I didn't really pursue them further because by that point in my journey, I was looking for something different. They weren't really my cup of tea. But guess what? When imagine how it looked like to everyone else in the club, seeing like seven girls rush to one guy. All right, they had no idea that it was because I approached all of them. All they saw was that seven attractive women were very excited to meet one guy, right? So later on that night, when I was doing like my usual like mingling and I was like talking to the girls there and I was being social, I noticed that the girls were a lot more open and flirtatious with me. And I'm very certain that it was because they saw how excited those previous girls were when they saw me. So it instantly gave me social proof in that environment, and I ended up hitting it off with one of the most beautiful women in that fucking club. I'm one of the most beautiful women that I've hit it off with in general, I would say. Definitely top five. And that shows the power that even if you're not getting the results now, this stuff compounds over time to the point where it kind of interconnects and you're matching with girls that you approached back in the day that maybe rejected you, but now they're in a different headspace and they saw you on a dating app and now they're open to go on a date with you. Or maybe they see you in the club and they approach you. I've had other situations where I would match with a girl on Tinder and then I would go out and I would approach her on the street. Like I would match her on Tinder, and then 5 minutes later, I just happened to run into her on the street, and I approached her, and it didn't register in my mind that I matched with her on Tinder. But then I went home, and she texted me like, "Hey, we just matched on Tinder, like, and we met on the street." What a coincidence, right? And it creates a better story for the girl also. So again, not only are you going to get better with time and your pictures are going to get better and your communication skills are going to get better and your flirting is going to get better, but also the mere fact that you're putting yourself out there so much eventually is going to create a compound effect where over time your your approaches and your swipes and your matching and your conversations and your exposure and all these things that you're doing are going to start interconnecting and bringing you results passively just by the fact that you're doing it. I've had situations where I would approach girls and they would say that, hey, you approached my friend and you never texted her. But the fact that I didn't text their friend kind of communicated like some kind of higher standard to them, I guess. And then their friend was interested in dating me, right? So a lot of this stuff really compounds over time. So just by putting yourself out there and exposing yourself a lot, yeah, you're going to get a lot of rejections in the beginning, but I promise you, not only are you going to get better with this if you commit to self-improvement, learning from your mistakes, but all this stuff that you are doing, all this exposure, eventually is going to compound to the point where you're getting passive dates without having to try so hard. I remember one time I actually got a date from a girl from my class, a beautiful girl in my class that I never thought that would want to go on a date with me because we never seemed to have that kind of chemistry. But she saw me randomly approaching a girl on the street, like a very beautiful girl on the street, and just seeing that confidence, that boldness sparked interest in her. And then she ended up like talking to me more in class. And eventually I asked her out and we went on a date and we had a beautiful time, right? So this stuff compounds over time. So the main lesson of this video is play the numbers game. Put yourself out there, like really commit to improvement, really commit to having no fear, being unapologetically going after what you want. And I promise you, the numbers are going to shift in your favor. Thanks for watching.